Hey guys, welcome to my channel. Now, don't forget to subscribe and don't forget to like and say nice things. We always like nice comments, don't we? Now, you know this channel is all about show business and every aspect of it. Now, today we're going to be talking to an incredible classical singer, and she sings other types of music as well. She is a professor of voice and she has had such a tremendous career. Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Jeanette Thompson. How you doing, Jeanette?
I'm doing well, thank you.
It's so good. I'm so glad that you were able to do this. So now listen, Jeanette, let's just jump right into it. You
Okay.
are a professor of voice.
Yes.
What what is it that you like about your job in teaching people all about voice? What is it that you like?
Wow, that's a great question. I think to I like to watch the students unravel the puzzle of becoming an artist. I like to see them put all the components together, and when it all clicks, that is like a light bulb goes off, and that is a thrill for me. I have a student now who, when she came to me, when I came here to this university, she was an education major, which meant she would go and teach, like at high school and middle school. She would teach music. And she started working with me, and I was as tough with her as if she were auditioning for the Metropolitan Opera. And this girl, after 2 years, to watch her voice open up, she was the only student in the history of this university who got all A pluses on their jury.
Oh my God.
And when she finished, when one summer, she also took voice during the summer, and she said to me, I never imagined in my life that I could sound this good. And I thought, this is why we do it. This right here is why we do it. And now she graduates, she just graduated, and she's off to grad school as a voice
A
major.
voice
So,
major? Girl, shut
yeah,
up. That is
yeah,
amazing.
I know. And not only is she off to grad school, but she had two grad schools competing for her.
Now, how is she
And they
categorized? Is she a soprano or?
she's a soprano. She's a lyric soprano with lots of easy coloratura. Yeah.
Okay.
And so anyway, she had two major universities competing for her. She's going on full scholarship, and she goes there with two roles already promised to her in two operas.
I mean, this must be, in a way, shocking to her as well, because obviously she never thought of herself as a singer, right?
Right, she liked to sing,
She liked to
but
sing, but
she never imagined that she could be this good. And so now she's just over the moon, and so am I for her.
well, I would say
Yeah,
thank God that she had you for a teacher because you were able to bring that out of her.
yeah. I mean, I would like to say I'm the only teacher in the world who can do that, but that's not true. There are many
Well,
really
I'm
good
sure there are,
teachers.
but she lucked into you
She did, she did,
because
and
she easily could have had a bad teacher because there's loads of
well,
them out there.
there are. There's not loads of bad teachers at this particular university, but there are loads of bad teachers out there. Yeah, and yeah, I
So,
am fortunate to have had her, and she feels fortunate to have had me. Yeah.
so is she excited about all of this?
Oh, she's over the moon. She after a year a year and a half with me, she decided that she wanted to get. We offer something here called uh, a vocal performance certificate. So you can get a degree in education, but you can get a certificate in performance. So she auditioned for that and she got it. And so she had to do a recital. She was required to do a recital. And the comments she got from her recital was just, but it,
Really?
yeah, and but it was great. It was a balanced program. It was classy. It was beautifully sung. And I
Would,
think that's what everyone saw.
would you say she was gifted?
I would say that, we all start out with with a bit of a gift. Some of us
Yes.
have a bigger gift than others, you included, by the way. But
Thank you.
but she was willing to work hard.
That's what I'm getting ready to get into.
Yeah.
Yes.
This girl was willing to do whatever silly thing that I would ask her to do, she would do it because she trusted that I knew what I was talking about. Yeah.
Yes.
And this girl worked hard. I mean, this girl worked hard. And she continues to, because this summer we're preparing one of her roles for when she goes off to grad school. Yeah.
I would say that number one, it is so important for students to trust their teachers, especially if they have done the homework, looked up their teachers, see what their background is. There has to be trust there because when there is no trust, I don't see how much can be accomplished. I have
Nothing,
seen that.
absolutely
Nothing
nothing.
can be accomplished because I think also to what makes it so special for you being her teacher is that number one, it's about your work ethics. Your work ethics play a lot into this because as far as I know about you and what people say about you, you're about being on time. You're about doing your homework when there's something that you have to learn. You want to go, you're about being prepared and you're about being ready when the lights hit, baby.
Discipline.
And it's all about the discipline. So that I think that oozes out of you. And unless she's dumb, and I don't think she is,
No.
anybody can see that in you. And she saw that in you. And so therefore, she trusted you because only with trust between the two of you could that have happened.
Yeah.
That this
No.
woman was not even looking, this young lady, I should say, was not even looking to have a career as a singer. She was interested in education. And then now she's looking at roles.
Major
Oh
roles.
my God.
I don't even mean
roles.
like a tiny role. I mean 2 operas where she is the star. Yeah.
That's so fabulous. It
I
is
know.
so fabulous.
I'm so pleased for her. She entered a competition this semester and she won. And so the faculty were all writing to me and saying, you really nurtured her and you've done a great job. And I wrote them back and I said, here's the thing is I teach all of my students the same.
The same.
And I actually do. I teach them all the same. What they do with that information is up to them.
That's right.
Whether or not they're willing to take a chance and to do the work that I require of them is up to them. She happened to have worked hard and to have done what was asked of her. But I have several students who are willing to work that hard. And I'm very pleased about that. So yeah, that's what I like about it. Getting back to your original question.
So let me say this to you young people watching. It really does not matter the genre of music at all. It does not matter. We happen to be talking about classical music, classical singers. That's fine. But the discipline follows no matter what you're doing, no matter the genre of music. You cannot realize your full potential if you do not put in the work and if there is no discipline. That's the name of the game. And then you wonder why someone less talented than you seem to be skyrocketing. And they They can't even sing as well as you. Well,
Yeah.
maybe there's something else in play here. Maybe it's
Mhm.
their discipline, their work ethics. That's such a great story, Jeanette. I mean, such a great story. So now let's talk about discipline for a minute,
Yeah.
because I'm sure, like a lot of good teachers have encountered this, that you do run across those students, no matter what you say, no matter what you do, they're going to kind of do whatever they want. Could you speak on that a bit? And when that happens, what do you do?
Well, you know, in the old days, you would set up your studio, and the student would come in every week, and they would have their lessons. Maybe they were prepared, maybe they weren't. And at the end of the semester, you would subjectively give them a grade that you feel that they have earned in that semester. I realized that I needed to set up a different evaluation system.
Hmm.
So, what I do is I give a student a grade after every lesson.
Oh, crap. What? Did y'all hear that? Are y'all listening
After,
back there? Ain't nobody back there. What? After
after
every girl, I
every
gotta try that.
lesson.
That sounds pretty good to me.
And, but there are rules, you see. So, if you are 1 minute to 5 minutes late,
Ooh,
you get 20% off the grade already. If you are
love it.
if you are between 5 and
Oh
15,
my God.
you get 30 points off the top already. So the
Mm.
point is, and we have this mantra, and everyone knows it, to be early is to be on time.
That's right.
To be on time is to be late. And to
Mm.
be late is unacceptable.
Let's talk about that for a minute, because this has come up in other videos and conversations as well. When we say that if a rehearsal, whether it's in classical music or under equity rules, which
Doesn't
maybe
matter. A
it doesn't
rehearsal.
matter, a 10, say 10 to 6, if your rehearsal starts at 10 a.m. or no matter what time it starts, me, if that rehearsal starts at 10 a.m., I'm there at 9:30, because I want to vocalize. Dancers need to warm up, because what Jeanette is saying, you get there at 10, you're not ready to
You're
rehearse.
late.
You're
You're
late.
late if you get there at 10.
You are late. Do you understand this? Go ahead, Jeanette, finish.
Yeah. And I tell all of my singers. So at all of my schools, okay, so I have all these rules. And one of the rules is you can't be late, because I just told you the mantra. The other rule is if I give you a piece, and in classical singing, you often have to sing in other languages.
That's right.
So if I give you a piece of music, there are two things that you have to memorize. You have to memorize who the composer is and who the poet is.
Mhm.
Now, that's not so difficult, because in a semester, maybe you will have a maximum 7 pieces to learn. So memorizing that the composer is Schumann and the poet is Eichendorff is not a big deal. Okay. But you also have to know what you're singing about. That you don't have to memorize, but you have to
You
translate
have to
it
translate.
word for
That's
word,
right.
not look in the book and try to copy what's in the book,
That's
but you have
right.
to translate it word for word. Now, this is where it gets tricky, because if, as you're singing, and I ask you, wow, who on earth is that composer? It's just so beautiful. And if you say, I don't know,
Oh
then you get
God.
a 40 for the day. 40, 60 points off. If I say, who's the poet? And you say, I don't know, you get a 40 for the day. If I ask you, and I'll allow you to look at your music, but if I say, tell me, what does newbie mean? You've sung this word 8 times,
Oh,
newbie. What does that mean? And I say, you can look at your music. And then if you try to see what the English translation is printed underneath and you get it wrong, you get a 40 for the day. So You have to translate what you. Now, these rules are in place not because I take any joy out of giving anybody a 40, but they're in play so that you will know the importance of knowing the composer and the poet and the words of which you are singing.
Okay.
You have to know this.
Jeanette, that is no different from when I can say or ask at any given moment, one of my students, and see, they never know when it's coming. Okay, so in 2 or 3 sentences, tell me the gist of what you're singing. I'm not interested in the lyrics. I'm interested in the meaning. What does that song mean to you? What is the meaning of that song for you? Usually the first time it'll be, well, wait a minute, let me get the lyrics. I said, I didn't ask you for the lyrics. I can get to sheet music and look at the lyrics myself. I ask you, what does a song mean to you? What is the gist of the lyrics? All over the general meaning? I said, so let me get this straight. I just want to make sure that I'm understanding this. You're singing a song, and you don't know what the hell you singing about. I said, okay, give me a piece of music. They'll go in their book, get a piece of music. I'll look at it, look at the lyrics. I said, and then I will give the general meaning of what that song is. I said, this is what this is. So when I sing this song, this is the meaning of the song. And I'll use a lot of times, God Bless the Child. I will tell them that you could give God Bless the Child to 10 great singers, and each of them can come out with a different meaning, but it's a meaning nonetheless. You have to have something. You have to have a reason for doing anything, for singing what you're singing. Other than that, it's just words coming out of your mouth. So I get that, Jeanette. I get that. That's unbelievable. So did they finally understand what you were talking about, and did they kind of get their act together?
Yes. Okay. So
You said yes.
one.
Oh, okay.
No, but let me explain. So one school that I was teaching at, where I first started making all of these rules, no one showed up. They were always late. They, whatever. And I would say, you know what? It's totally up to you. If you want to play with your grade that way, that's fine. But I'm telling you that this is how I will grade. And I give you, at this old school, I've never had that trouble in this country, but in another country,
yes,
showing up was an issue.
Amazing.
And so I would allow you to miss 3 lessons because at that school you had 2 lessons a week.
Mm-hmm.
And so I allowed you to get like the flu or something like that. But I said to everyone, do not use these, and you can miss 3 lessons without penalty. Mm. But past that, if you are not here, you get a 0.
Yes.
Even if you're sick, you get a 0, which is why I allow you to do 2 things. You may switch your lesson with someone else if you know you're ill. Have them take your lesson, and then you take their lesson at a later time. Mm-hmm. Or save those 3. And I say, I advise you to save those 3, because if you miss 3 at this other school, you will fail. Cannot pass. If you miss 2 weeks of lessons, you cannot pass. And so at first, everyone complained. Nobody wanted these rules. What is this crazy woman with all these rules? And then everybody started to improve, because you see, if there is discipline,
yes,
and then you automatically improve with discipline. So one semester after about 3 years of this, I said, I'm going to take a vote. Now I want everyone to close their eyes, and we're going to vote whether or not to suspend all rules for a semester. Now I had 28 students. I said, so we're going to vote whether or not, if you all want to suspend the rules, I will do it for 1 semester and see if we have the same type of results. So everybody closed their eyes, and I said, okay, who wants to suspend it? Everybody's eyes was closed. I said, okay, keep your hands up. I said, now who would not like the rules suspended? it was 26-2 not to
Not to
suspend it.
suspend. That is amazing.
And so when I told them, I said, you all voted not to suspend the rules. And you could see the relief. And I said, let's talk about that. And they all said to me, you know what, Professor? We thought we wanted that kind of freedom where, we don't have to report, we can be late. I also didn't allow smoking. So we thought we wanted that type of freedom, but we really don't because we like learning too much. And so they actually voted not to suspend the rules. Isn't that interesting?
That I find that very, very interesting. Maybe they felt that they needed the rules in place so that it would make them do better. Maybe
See,
that was the psychology behind that. I don't know. What do you
I
think?
feel that that is true of all places, though, not just at that particular university, because it's the same here. I find that with discipline, students respond to grades more than they respond to anything. And so if their grade is on the line, then they will do even the crazy things. But then the icing on the cake is that you get to learn all of this material and you get to get better and you get to improve. And then you get to become this artist that you didn't know that you were. So
And I
that's where
think
they
probably
work.
they find joy in that too, because once they
Yeah.
see that they're improving and that they're becoming better singers, maybe singers turning into performers, which is ultimately what you want, so that you can communicate with that audience. I think probably that's very exciting for them too, because they say, oh, wow, if I put in the work, this is what's happening. I'm
Yeah.
being received differently. So, yeah, that's actually great. So, but let me ask you this. How did the administration feel about this? Because certainly they knew about these rules, did they not?
In the other countries, they did nothing.
They didn't care.
There there are many more rules and regulations in this country. And so I worried my
I'm talking about their response to your rules.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
Oh, okay.
In this country, I worried that
Mm-hmm.
there would be fallout over my rules.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I have been blessed enough to be at schools where they say, no, we trust that you know what you're doing. And so
Mm-hmm.
they don't, as long as I don't do anything crazy. At the school I'm at presently, they actually wanted me to speak at a faculty meeting about my rules.
Because they were in favor of them?
Yes,
That's funny. I
I
love
know,
it.
but I wouldn't do it
Oh,
because, no, because I think that every teacher has his or her own way of
yeah.
teaching. And I certainly do not want to hold my way up as being the right way or the only
No.
way. Because also there are students who do not respond well to such discipline, and they've
Mm-hmm.
left my studio because
Mm-hmm.
they didn't respond well to such discipline. But the ones who do stay almost always improve.
Well, I had that issue at my college, that because I do not tolerate that focus thing. When you stare at one spot in front of you and focus and you deliver your whole song like that, no, that is not performing. And that gives the audience nothing to watch. I mean, it's ridiculous. And the teachers in high school are telling them to do this. So I have never blamed the student, but I do not tolerate that. So I helped them to get over that, in 4, 5, 6 weeks. There were couple students that went into a second semester. I said, okay, now you got to get that together, because once that's ingrained in you, you immediately start singing and you do this. And some
Mm-hmm.
of them don't even move their arms. And so it's, but eventually they get it. I mean, but there have been, I would say probably maybe 3 or 4 who just it was so ingrained in them. They just didn't want to learn any other way. They just wanted to just stare, and so we said, okay, bye bye, and we parted ways, because I was not going to have that in my studio. Absolutely not.
Yeah.
So, okay, so let's talk about the students who are downright just disrespectful, do you encounter that right away, or is this something that sort of creeps up on you, or you see it from day one? Because we're talking about at college level.
Right. I think that you can, you see that this is a very tricky question, because there is the student who has a great deal of talent and feels as if no one can tell them anything. See, that's a form of disrespect in itself. Even though they're not disrespectful per se to me, the fact that they won't listen to me is disrespectful. So when I run into that, I'll say one of two things. I'll say, I want you to just trust the fact that I am 3 times your age and that I might know a couple of things. And if it doesn't work, then we'll talk about it. But I want you to try it just because I asked you to do it.
Okay, let me stop you right there. What exactly, how's that manifested? I mean, when they don't trust you, what is it in their behavior? Do they just come out and say, I don't trust you? Or
No. I'll ask them, okay, one of the things that I do, if you have a piece and you can't phonate the vowels properly, and so it doesn't come out sounding legato at all. It comes out very choppy. Now, there's a method of how to correct that. But you have to do these nonsensical sounds, and you have to take each note apart and breathe after every note so that you will center each note, so that when you go to put it back together, then you will find the legato in the music. And I'll say to them, I want you to take this song apart, and I want you to do it on this syllable and that one. And then I want you to do X, Y, and Z. I'll have several things. When they come back, see, in their little heads, they figure that you can't really tell that they haven't done it. But of course, I can tell right away that they haven't done it.
You know when someone hasn't done their homework.
Right.
We know.
And so then I'll say, you didn't do it, did you? Yes, I did. Did you really? Well, not really. And then I'll say, why not? Because I think it's silly. And I'll go, okay. Let me ask you this. Do you think that I can sing well? Well, yeah. Okay. Then probably I know a couple of things, right? Probably. Let's just, go out on a limb here. And then they'll go, yeah, then why won't you trust me on this? Because no one's ever told me to make these kinds of sounds. Why would I make this kind of sound?
When you told me, I had never heard anybody, any teacher, anybody say that when you went to touch somebody to check their diaphragmatic breathing, I don't know for what reason, I guess it would be to check their diaphragmatic breathing, because that's the reason why I do it, that they had a problem with it. When you told me that, I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Because down through the years, there's no permission given for that. This is what teachers do. Voice teachers do. Good voice teachers.
Voice teachers.
When they are checking to see if you are breathing correctly, they touch you at the waist. And sometimes I put a hand in the front, a hand in the back. Take a breath. Because the whole thing is, when you're doing diaphragmatic breathing and it's done to its fullest, that whole area expands, including your back. The whole area expands. So the only way for a teacher to check that is to touch you. So go ahead from there, because you have got to tell how one student took you to the office, or what did she do? Or he?
No, they reported me for sexual harassment.
That is ridiculous.
Well, but you know what? I I have thought about that, and there are two ways to look at it. Let's say that I was some dirty old man who got my jollies out of touching young people. Then you can understand why now you can't touch anyone without saying, is it okay if I check this area for you? When I was brought up, we didn't have such things. You know, my teacher would come and check my breathing, and that was that. Now I have a scarf that I tie them up with.
Yeah, I've used scarves before.
But before I do, I say, is it okay if I tie you up?
I've never asked that.
Yeah, I say that. And
Even here in America.
yeah, actually, the only place that a complaint was lodged was here in America.
Oh, for some reason I thought it was in the other countries. It was here.
No.
Oh, crap.
No. Yeah, I've taught in several countries, and no, the only place it was lodged was here in America.
Okay, but that couldn't have been anywhere near New York.
No.
Okay. So I think I have a feeling of in what area of the country that was. I mean, but when you really do think of it, it's ridiculous. It's the same with a dance teacher. A dance teacher has to touch you, has to check your line, lift your leg to tell you how to put that leg in line with your torso. I mean, this is what teachers do.
Yeah.
Dance teachers and voice teachers. So I just can't imagine. I mean, I've never said, can I touch you? I just never done that. I said, honey, lift your arms. I put, I mean, they all think I'm crazy. Any funny, they laugh at me. So I'm going to move on.
Okay.
Diction. Girl, don't get me started. Don't get me started. Go ahead. Let me hear what you got to say.
You got to understand, there's a difference. Like if you're singing a jazz song, then you wouldn't want to make sure that hit every T and roll the R's, and you would not want to do that. But if you're singing, correct,
you wouldn't want to do that. Mm-hmm.
So you have to sing in the style of the music. But if you are singing in Italian or German or French or Russian
or show tunes on Broadway,
then diction, but it's not just diction. The diction is there for a reason. So now, particularly if we're talking about musical theater or jazz, the only way that you can communicate is through those words.
That's right.
So therefore, if you don't have something to say behind the words, and once you have something to say, it's amazing how much your diction will improve.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
Once you have something to say, no one cares if you don't have anything to say, because we hear the pretty tune and then we're done. But if you have something to say, then you can capture our attention for the duration of your performance. And that's what you want, right? You want to have something to say.
They've even spoken about my diction, which is almost a rarity in reviews, because it's just not done that often, but it has been spoken about because I took a year of diction at Juilliard. And what I try to get my students to understand, the D's and the VEs, that's the hardest, because you have to almost hit them with another syllable, would, in order for the D to go all the way to that audience and that last row. It'll sound normal. Yes, in your head, it sounds, Jesus, this is overkill. What would? That's what? Trust me, when you do that, because when you only go would, yeah, you did it, but it was they can't hear that. So what do they get? Would. They're not getting would.
So now, and here's
thing for them to understand that.
And here's what I say to students. I say, you have to voice that D.
Voice that D, baby.
Yeah, you got to voice it. So if you're singing would, no one can hear that.
No one can hear it.
Then you you have to voice the D at the end in order for it to be understood.
Another syllable. It's almost like another syllable. Think of would as a two-syllable word and make the D the
Yeah.
second syllable. So we're saying the same thing.
Yeah.
But they don't understand. I said, because to me, to be the consummate singer is more than your instrument.
Yes.
It's
Oh
everything that
God.
goes along with it. You want to be known as a great performer who happens to have great diction. And when you're known for that, it means the world to your audience because they understand what you're singing.
And that's what everybody wants. I do one other thing.
Oh, she's laughing, y'all. I'm scared now. I'm scared. What do you do? What do you do, Miss
You
Jeanette?
see, when you get on stage, in your head, you want to make a gesture, you want to make a movement, but something in you won't let you do it when you are a young performer. And all of those inhibitions will keep you from actually getting to your truth as you perform.
Mm-hmm.
So, what I make my students do is take a piece of music that they are learning and they have to do a dance to that music in leotards and tights.
Shut up, girl. Leotards and tights?
Leotards and tights. And you have to express the emotion of that piece of music with your body, with no singing from you. Wow. So you would play a recording of someone singing Caro Mio Ben, but you have to interpret Caro Mio Ben with your body. I cannot tell you the difference that it makes because, first of all, nobody, believe me when I tell you, no one wants to put on leotards and tights.
Especially guys. If you're not a ballet dancer, you don't want to be putting on no leotards and tights. That is so fair. Where do you have that people doing, Jeanette? I think it's genius.
But it is so freeing, and that is why I have them do it. And you know, I've had other teachers say, well, can't they just wear like street clothes and do the dance? And I went, no, because the whole point is that there is nothing to shield you. It is just you and the emotions with the music. Yes. And I want nothing to shield you. And this is why I have that rule. You can't even have sleeves in your leotards. I really want it to be just you and the difference that it makes. Oh my God.
Because, you know, what we're saying here is that from the time you come into an audition, they are looking at you. When you walk on the stage, you're being looked upon. It is about you having a presence.
Yes.
A confidence that when you walk in the room, you are somebody and you're about to give of your gift, whatever it is you're doing, to them with complete confidence and complete control. And basically, I think your approach is almost like total abandonment.
That's exactly it.
It's total abandonment. Because you know what? This is exactly what we have to do. And I think for classical singers, me included, when I was singing classical music, because everything is so regimented, I think it's harder for us because as concert artists, you walk in a certain way, you go to the piano, your hands are claps and your claps in front of you and you're talking a certain way and everything is kind of regimented. So, and I think, and tell me if I'm wrong, I think classical music, the whole presentation of it has loosened up a lot, right? It's not like it was years ago, because years ago was so stilted, so
well, they used to call it park and bark years ago.
Park and bark. Woo.
Park and bark. Wow. Well, those days are gone. Yes. And those days were gone with television and with operas being turned into movies and things like that. Yes. So now, and no matter what master class you go to, and we've had a plethora of them this semester,
Mhm.
including Renee Fleming,
Oh my
who's come
God,
here.
she came through.
Yeah,
Ah,
we've
fabulous.
had, but we've had some great people, and almost all of them say the same thing.
Mhm.
If you don't have anything to say, no one will care if
No
you
one will
don't have
care.
anything to say. So here's what I did. First of all one has to do is see you perform to truly understand abandon, because there is nothing between you and the audience. You put your whole soul and your whole life right in front of us to
Are you
take
talking
it
about me?
or leave it. I'm talking about you, Vivian
Oh
Reed.
my God. Oh, thank you. Well,
To
that's what
take
I
it or
do.
leave
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
I know, but see, here's the thing. So, and when I was at your last show, I remember sitting there thinking, if one could bottle that, how would one commercialize this thing
Mhm.
that you have? So,
Okay.
the way to get to that type of abandon, the way to get to it is you have to feel so free with yourself.
Yep.
And I say to
Secure.
them, it doesn't matter what size you are. And, before my knees totally did me in, I used to do a dance for them before they would do their dance exam,
Mhm.
just to show them that it doesn't matter about your
Mhm.
size. And so, doing this dance, so if you do this dance to help you get in touch with your body and feel free with your body, and if you totally understand what you're singing, right, because you've translated everything,
Mhm.
and if you have zeroed in on all the emotions of that piece,
Yes.
then you have an artistic performance, and
Yes.
it's fantastic. And so that is the reason behind it. It is my hope that no matter what you're singing, one can sing it with the same amount of abandon that you
Yes.
sing every single thing that you sing.
Yeah. Thank you. You know, it's so funny that you say that, because the key, I think, to really feeling free on the stage is, number one, like Jeanette just said, you got to know that material like you know your name. You have to learn it, work on it every day till you don't even have to think about it. All you got to do is go out there and perform it. You don't have to think about the lyrics. You, of course, you think about the lyrics as you sing it because you're interpreting the lyrics, but I'm talking in terms of memorizing. You want to have all of that down pat so that you are free to go ahead and perform, because only until you learn that material like that can you really be free on the stage. Because if you don't put in the work, see, that's what we're talking about, the work ethics. You don't put in the work, spend that time at home after rehearsal, go over whatever they told you to learn, the steps, the staging, whatever it is, your music. You have to spend that time at home. You can't use the rehearsal period, because the choreographer, the director, and I'm crossing now, I'm going over into theater as well. They're giving you what they need you to work on at home so that you can come in the next day and be ready to go from there. But if you go home and you never pick up that script, you never pick up that music, and I don't care what genre it is, you will never be free on the stage. See,
No.
I'm free on the stage. And even that's not to say I don't forget things sometimes. I forget things, but I make up stuff on the stop. What on the spot. I try never to stop
Mm-hmm.
and then have to start all over again. I try never to do that. Especially if it's some fast, funky thing, I can make up shit on the spot and then I'm done. But yeah, Jeanette, that's a great, great point. You really, people who wait till, and this is something we can talk about too, Jeanette, marking, meaning not singing full out. I want my vocal folds to know what I'm going to do to them. I don't mark. I rarely mark. In fact, Lord, I can't remember when I ever marked in a rehearsal. I mean, if I'm sick or something, that's kind of different, but I just don't mark because I want these vocal folds to know what I'm going to do to them so that by the time we go into 10 out of 12 tech rehearsal and we're ready for preview audience, I'm there in full performance mode. Can't wait, because what? I've done my homework. I know the material.
I think that in every rehearsal, you should sing the piece with the same commitment, as though you were on the stage with 5,000 in the audience listening to you.
The commitment.
Yeah, you should be committed in the rehearsals, because if you are committed that way in your rehearsals,
Yes.
when you go on stage, you don't have to think about it.
That's
You don't
right.
have to think about being committed because it's ingrained in you to be committed. And it reminds me of, I was preparing for a performance and I was traveling. So I passed through Aspen and I called up an old friend of mine. I said, listen, I wonder if you could just coach me on this aria before I go to perform in whatever, next month or something. And he said, wow, he said, the only time that I have, it was like 9:30 or 10 o'clock in the morning. And I said, that's fine. That's fine. We're in Aspen. So I show up and I remember we were working on Ecolori do Campo. And if anyone knows this aria, you know that it is this wailing aria and it is so dramatic, really dramatic. I got to his house to rehearse, and he started playing it. First of all, he's an incredible pianist. He started playing it, and I started singing it like I was on the stage. And when we got to the end, he went, "Oh my God! Every singer in the world should have witnessed this."
Yeah, you see, you're like I am.
Because that is how, when you get on the stage to do it, you don't have to think about the high C's that are coming because you've sung those high C's so many times. Now, there are some instances when you will arrive at the venue to perform and you find out that you have to have a dress rehearsal on the day of the performance. Now, first of all, that's very difficult to do. On those days, yes, if you want to mark, I don't see anything wrong with marking on that day because you have to perform that night. And you definitely don't want to leave everything that you have in the rehearsal. You want something to take out on that stage for performance. But that's why ideally you want your dress rehearsal to be 2 days before the performance so that you can give it all that you have. So I agree with you. Marking is a touchy thing. There are some instances that you will require it, but for the singer who went, no, I'm going to save my voice. I want to save my, I don't get that.
Yeah, I don't get that either. I don't get that either. So the whole thing is, I think, to wind this down, is that there's so many elements to go into, being comfortable on the stage and to becoming a great performer. I'm not going to say so many, just some key elements that you really have to adhere to. And when you do them, and first of all, for me, it's second nature. I would never think about being late. I'm always early. That's second nature. That's what it is. My manager taught me that it should be. That's what it's supposed to be. I always do go home after a rehearsal and I'll have my dinner and chill for a second, and then I pick up the script and work on whatever I have to work on to make sure that I'm prepared for the next day of rehearsal.
And get some sleep.
And get some sleep. You got to get some sleep. And I don't know how this is for you as a classical singer, Jeanette, but I know for most theater people, man, the joy for me is, Lord, when I have to get up in the middle of the night because I'm laying there and going over them words and say, oh God, what was the words? What was the step? And I'm all getting up all in the middle of the night. It could be 3 and 4 in the morning. I mean, this is so typical in theater that we do that. We'll just get up. And how is it the same when you're preparing for something in classical music? How does it work?
Well, I wanted to say 2 things about these tools. One of the biggest tools is consistency.
Consistency.
So now, if you do the work every day, nice and slow, the mark of success is not greatness. It's the consistency. That's how you will truly achieve success. Yeah. So you don't want to learn your music at the last minute. Because if you learn your music at the last minute, you will learn it just for that minute. Once that performance is over, it'll be gone from your head.
Jeanette, I would be scared to do that. Oh my God.
Many
Oh, I'd be
people do that.
scared. Oh God.
And many young singers do that
That's a
in
bad
every
habit to get in.
genre. And
That's
it's
bad.
bad. It's bad because it doesn't stay with you.
Mm-mm.
So you want to learn it slowly so that it will stay with you for years. For years, it'll stay with you. So in case you get a phone call and you have to fly in and replace someone,
Mm-hmm.
then you don't have to relearn the role that you learned properly to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
And you should never wait till the last minute to start
Never.
that. You should never do that. Yes, my biggest fear is that I will get on stage and no word will come to my head.
That did happen to me when I was when I was about 19, I guess. And it was the stupidest thing. I think I was in St. Thomas. Yeah, St. Thomas. I can't think of the name of the club. I couldn't think of the first word. And guess what the song I was singing. Guess what it was?
God bless the child.
No, because I wasn't singing that then. This
Oh,
would be way before theater.
oh,
More was the song I was singing, and what is the first word of more is
more.
more is more. And so I'm standing there, and they're waiting. He done played this intro about 3 or 4 times. So I finally turned around and I said, "What's the first word?" And the drummer said, "More, stupid." He said, "More, stupid." Oh my God! Yeah, that
You
was
know,
back.
when
I
you
was a kid. I
panic,
was a kid, child. And I was I didn't have patter. That was during those times where I didn't. There was no patter between my songs. You could barely get a good evening out of me, And but of course that all changed, later on. But Jeanette, this has been so great. What are some final words you would like to leave the listeners, the viewers, with?
okay, I would say there are two things. First, to enjoy the process.
Yes.
Now, I I know you've heard that before. I know, we've all heard it before. But I can't tell you how important it is to enjoy the process because here's the thing you might spend 6 months learning a show that it takes you 2 hours to do, and
Yes.
you only get one performance of the show, maybe. Every day that you rehearse it, you stop and you think, God, this is beautiful music. I love singing it, and I can't wait to rehearse it tomorrow. And to love what you do, to love it. Because if you don't, then go and bake donuts, but don't do this
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
this is hard enough all on its own. It's hard for people who start out. We were talking about that God given talent. It's
Hmm.
hard enough for people who even have the God given talent. But as I stated earlier, you don't have to start out with that God given talent, but you have to start out with a work ethic
Yes.
that is second to none. And if you
Yes.
have that, then the world is yours. It's yours. And then if you love it too,
Oh, those are great, great words. What
it's
great
yours.
advice. Great advice,
Yeah.
because everything that she said is just so true. If you don't love it, don't even think
Don't do it.
about
Yeah.
getting into this business, because you will lose. And you'll probably go crazy in the interim. So you
You'll
don't want to do
lose
that,
before you get
because before you
started. Yeah.
even get started. So you
Yeah.
would want to love
Yeah.
and have a passion for this. I have a passion for it. Jeanette has a
Yeah.
passion for it, but not everyone does. And yet
I
they want to
know.
come in it because maybe they think they're going to get money. Anyway, listen, Jeanette Thompson, singer extraordinaire and an incredible professor of voice. If you ever come across her, you would want to study with her, because you done heard, you see how she works. She don't play, baby. She got rules,
I do
rules
not
and
play.
regulations. Yeah, because
This
I
is
don't
true.
play either. I'm not the one that's, if you ready to play and not follow the rules, you don't want to study with me and you don't want to study with Jeanette. But if you trust us, we will turn you into fabulous performers. If you trust us. Anyway, thank you, viewers.
Absolutely.
Thank you to Jeanette Thompson, and
My pleasure.
thank you so much for checking out this channel. And there will be more videos to follow all about show business. Take care. Wave, Jeanette.
Bye.
Bye.